Alright, today I don't have a very fun video to make, but it's an important video, and nobody has, I have heard nothing about this. Not a single person on the planet even really cares anymore. If you know anything about COMC, then you just, people like, they just roll their eyes. It's like, that stupid website, I dumped all my stuff out of there, I got the heck out of Dodge. Or I have abandoned my cards, so I don't know how to get them out of there, all that kind of fun stuff. Before I get to that, I want to show you this here. It's not going to be good, but I got this crazy huge frame that goes this way here. And this is just temporary. I threw in a couple of my Motel 6 postcards, some other ones there, and another one right there. But I have more of them. I was hoping to fill this with Motel 6 postcards. Somebody had it framed this way here. So I thought, wouldn't that be cool to just to have all these going down this way and just have kind of a nice little interesting frame there. I was hoping to put something else in there, like a long photograph, but nothing fit. I took the mat out of there because the mat was a peach color, or it got faded. It was really icky. But I found several videos talking about COMC. Sports cards, once again, he's a little bit south of me in Oregon. I have never met up with him at a card show. We just never seem to, I don't know, just somehow miss each other, or we just don't go to the same card. I have no idea. But anyway, he used to be the COMC expert. He's got 3,000 plus. Then I just watched another video, Dan the Card Man, and he's got 11,000 subscribers. They're talking about COMC fee increases. Now everybody seems to recall some sort of message there that COMC apologized for, shipping times and all this stuff, and they didn't feel like that there was anything they could do about it or something like that. I don't remember exactly the whole thing. And the first guy said there was a 50-cent card increase. It's like 50 cents. I calculated my stuff and it's still like a 25 cents or something like that. So I'm not super worried about that. But then when I went to COMC, and this is my purchase history, I am basically waiting for $9.75 worth of cards because I was stupid and went here instead of eBay. And so I got some cards that I purchased as 33 cents here. There's 3 cards at 33 cents. So very happy to have had those. And then I have some cards as a 42-cent card, a 43-cent. Now, why is that so important, all these 45-cent cards? Why is that important? Why is that important for me to do that? Well, the thing is that I am a set builder, and set builders do not want to pay any kind of money for the cards that everybody keeps dumping out of packs. So you watch, somebody do a break and they just throw away. I've been to card shops where just people dump all the cards they didn't want, and give them away to somebody for free. They paid money for them, but they're not going to try to do anything about it, you know what I mean? So those cards have to go away and go away fast. They're only interested in the hits. So those cards have virtually no value, so I'm paying for people's, cast-offs and leftovers. But I need those to finish off a set build. So if I was working on like the Wild West set, the Wild West Weekly, which I missed a couple cards on, then I had to go and get those cards to finish those off. And COMC was the only place that had those. I was the only person on all of YouTube that did a video on the Wild West Weekly. Not the Wild West cards from the, not the Westerns cards from Topps. There was 4 years ago maybe, there was a set called Wild West Weekly. I have one of the printing plate cards from that set. So, it's one of those things, it's like probably a 50 to 100 cards. I think it was like a 50 card set maybe. And then there was a parallel set, so I had to get those and those. I'm still missing some of the numbered 2 parallel. It doesn't have the gold foil stamping on it. It just says numbered to 299 or 499 or whatever it was, and I don't have all of those. So this is what's important. We got the 33-cent cards, the 45-cent. Now we want to go back to COMC proper here. So we're going to look at hockey cards because that's where I was just at. There's the not-for-sale cards. I still don't know what those all are about, the not-for-sale cards. They're just test listings or something like that. So, even in the hockey categories, they had a lot of online Upper Deck product, and they would start themselves at 27 cents. Now the first card is 51 cents. 51, 51, 51. All these 51-cent cards here. 51 cents. So for whatever reason, those 27 to 37 cent plus cards are now starting out at 51 cents. And you say it's only like 17 cents difference or whatever. But if you multiply 17 cents times 100 cards, you're like, oh my gosh. Because if you're not part of the Upper Deck E-Pack program, which might be a little bit more money that I want to spend, because again, the Upper Deck E program to me seemed like one of those things that's like, like a cable fee or something like that. You just, you're just, hoping and getting and blah blah blah, and then it's just like another kind of like pay this and pay this and pay this, and hoping you're getting, and people never get their cards shipped from them, almost never. They just upgrade until they get their final card, and I don't know how long some of those things have been going on. So this might be the only place to get those, eBay. So this 51-cent card on eBay, this David Pasternak, might be $2 or $3 on eBay. Because they had to get it somewhere to somewhere to somewhere to somewhere. Now it's going to cost $3. That's probably where it was going. And so buy 27-cent cards in the hockey section. Then we go back a little further, and I was at hockey, and I said, okay, let's go to Marvel cards here, because Marvel was a lot of cards dumped there, 51 cents now. So instead of 37 cents, again, these really weird odd amounts, sometimes saving 8 to 12 cents, 17 cents on a card was the reason why I bought it, because then, you buy 12 cards, and then 12 cards, you've just saved yourself $1.20, and then $1.20 can get you another, special card or whatever that you weren't going to purchase otherwise. That's how it works. I used to do the Black Friday system here, but we don't have that in the probably the works here. But again, whatever fee increase this was not noted. But these people on YouTube, the sports cards once again, and the Dan the Card Man or whatever his name is, they noticed, Dan said there was a 50-cent card fee, but when I totaled it up, it still was 25 cents. Maybe it's 50 cents for him. I can't remember if he was in Australia, but he mentioned being an Australian, I think is what he said. So I don't know if he's in Australia proper or whatever, but he showed, it said old fee, 25 cents, and then there's other fees according to other different types of cards that you might get, So it's gone are the days of getting these oversized cards. That might be actually more, and then getting things, they might say, hey, this card requires a top loader. They might tell me one of these days, this card requires a top loader, we need to, to pay an extra, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of my friends have not gotten their cards out of COMC. I can't even tell you if Chris Graffs 101 has gotten his cards out of there. I have no earthly clue, but he's been setting his cards in there, and all these people were not notified of these fee increases. So what's happening is that they could have given somebody a grace period and said, hey, if you would like to get your cards out now at the old fee, then by golly, so do it, and so, I've left cards there before, not for great, maybe a couple months or something like that, but well, I figured out some of my orders. But yeah, if they had just told people, say, hey, we're going to be upgrading the fees here, you have a chance now to get your cards out and then get them bought and paid for, and so, or finished it off here, go ahead and do that, and they should have done that, but they didn't do that. They just apologized for being, way behind, and then just raised prices on us after that without telling anybody, is what the last people have kind of said. The Dan the Cardman or people have said. They didn't tell us, and that's what the people in the comments section said. If I could go here back to this one here, let's go to Dan the Cardman if I could find it here. Trying to find it here, and yeah, so this video here, and I'll show you some of the comments here. I've got, I think, 14 minutes on this camera, so we're still doing good. I didn't want to make this a crazy long video here, but I just want to give people a sense of, what you're going to be. You're going to be in for sticker shock. Because, once you start hitting that 50-cent benchmark there, then I said, oh, yeah. I said, this is my comment. Also, the cheapest cards used to be in the 27-cent to 3-cent range for E-Pack and Upper Deck stuff, like the golf cards there. So I haven't even looked at the golf. Let's quickly just look at golf. So browse, let's go to golf. And those golf cards, I still need a crazy ton of those golf cards. Yeah, 51 cents for some of these golf cards. Now, some cases, that doesn't affect the price there, because some of those prices were pretty dang close anyway. So a lot of these were in that 50-cent range there, so they're right up there. Maybe some cards came down lower in price, but I really severely doubt that. I don't have any, I want to look up, so I always look up the Goonies cards here. The Goonies cards, from Upper Deck. The newer ones, those were in that 50-cent range here, so yeah, they're still in the same price there, but the base cheapest cards on the website are now up to some of these levels here, so it hasn't affected some of the cards. But yeah, for those people who buy the absolute leftovers of the leftovers of leftovers, again, you cannot buy complete sets of these things on eBay very easily unless you pay through the nose. So we want to go back here and look at the comments. It said, This guy says, I use COMC daily, like multiple times a day, checking my inventory and searching players. I never saw something about the price increase, not a blog post, an email, a headline on their main page, nothing. And somebody replied and said, same and same. They are not thinking things through with these price hikes. That's what they said here. And then something about snakes here. I don't know what that is here. Somebody's been, they said they don't use COMC because they're an old geezer and they just do in-person sales. Well, that's great if you live in a big city. If you live in a small city like I do, this is why I get 95% of my cards, 99% of my cards on the internet, because otherwise I'm just getting random stuff at the stores. You know, two of my card shops barely even sell packs. They don't even have slabbed cards. What am I supposed to do if packs and slabs are the top of the game and nobody has those? And then I have to pay double eBay for the vintage cards at the one. So yeah, I have a ton of cards at COMC, including several I just bought. I regret that now. I guess people will be just having port sales and unloading everything now. Went to buy an auto jersey and looked up the certain something. I don't know what that is. I forget that. What's that all about there? I noticed, yeah, every card on my watch list has increased slightly. I, like many, are disgusted by COMC and noticed the sale items increased about 200%. As I think, yeah, so yeah, well, I looked up 2 cards the other day and I was like, I thought those were $3 and something. Now they're $4+. So yeah, so I'm $8 instead of $7. And it just like the message, as it was like, here's the bad news and here's the good news, them catching up on messages by deleting them and giving us all free price history. So yeah, what happened was that there was all these messages and they just basically deleted them, is what people have said. You know, so all these people were asking questions and they couldn't get to them, so they just deleted them. And that got them caught up. Just another tone-deaf leader who notes shipping has been a loss leader throughout, which I think is pure junk, you know, so stuff like that. And then we've got, thanks for everything you do, ouch, as a COMC user, and oh yes, I can confirm my, I don't know what that is, something, whatever that is. COMC is trying to keep cards on their site. The longer they keep the cards in their storage, the more potential earnings they can get. These people are complaining who have chosen the option are going to sell, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, they want the site, they want basically the cards to stay there and they can flip them and flip them and flip them and get more money for that. That's what they're trying to do. Let's see, what did it say? Not a heartwarming to start out the day. That's what somebody else said. I don't know what this other stuff here is. COMC, owned by PSA, I don't know. Just junk, yeah. So there's a lot of garbage, yeah. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's the fact of life, you know. Websites and things are just going to suck. And if you just want your cards bad enough, so basically these 50-cent cards, I would have to sell them at card shows for a quarter to even lose half my money. You know, just it's not worth it to do this. So as a set builder, again, I'm cheated again at the set building opportunity. I've always been cheated at set building. There's nothing I can do about it. You know, so I've got these sets that I've started. Now they're costing me more money. The shipping is actually costing more money, and to get them out of COMC jail is costing more money. And I just, you know, and I have to wait another month for my $9.75 worth of cards plus $6 or $7 shipping to get. It's just stupid. Ship me my cards yesterday, people. I mean, I don't know what your problem is, but it's ridiculous. You know, I can't handle it. Thank you for watching.